Welcome back to another Charlotte Legacy League where we have Dimir Shadow versus Show and Tell. So Ryan has kept 6 and Robert has kept 7. Ryan will be on the play. This is an important match for anyone who is not in the know, and that is whoever wins this match. It's not whoever wins this match. It's if Robert wins this match, he seals in the second place for Season 4 of this year, which puts him into the top 8 tournament. So that's very exciting for Robert, and we'll get to see how this match plays out, and we'll go from there. Robert, in a very sporting-like conduct, does leave his hand open for Ryan, but Ryan, the good player that he is writing it down anyway. So we're going to see a Thoughtseize there from Ryan, showing off Robert's hand there, taking the Atraxa out of there. Robert does have double Show and Tell in his hand, Sneak Attack, Spell Pierce, and a City of Traders. So Ryan's going to need to be able to Wasteland him off of that Volcanic Island to try and slow him down here. See if he can find that in this Ponder. He doesn't. Underground looks like another Thoughtseize and a Force of Will. Those aren't too bad, actually, having a lot of protection and disruption. I think I probably would have taken the... Well, he did take the... Not the enabler, but the payoff for that the first time. But probably would have taken that Thoughtseize and gone after his hand again, especially if he didn't have like a double Force of Will, which he does now. He has double Force, double blue card, one of those blue cards being Daze and the other one being a Force of Will. Ryan only at 18, so that Shadow can't quite come down yet. See if he's going to use his Brainstorm and try and find something else to work with here. It's looking like he's going to keep his mana open, and we'll see if Robert's going to play this Show and Tell. It looks like he's going to go ahead and make his way through, and we'll see the Show and Tell from Robert. And we'll see what those 3 mystery cards from Robert are. Maybe they are Force of Will. So we'll see a Daze coming out first from Ryan. Returning that island to his hand, floating a blue. Keep a Brainstorm open as well. So we'll see the Force pitching the Spell Pierce from Robert, which we'll probably see the Brainstorm here trying to dig for more blue cards just in case Ryan needs to Force a Will again. So got a Brainstorm. He does find another Force of Will with that Thoughtseize, so he could force here then Thoughtseize away the other Show and Tell, but there is still a Sneak Attack in his hand. Could make it for a little bit more difficult for Ryan, but we'll see where he goes from here. So it looks like he's going to put that Underground and the Thoughtseize back on top. Doesn't really need the Underground since he found a Wasteland to take him off that Volcanic as well. That's pretty tough. So we will see a Force pitching a Force here. We'll see if Robert's got another Force of Will. He has a second Force of Will, pitching the Show and Tell. Ooh, that's tough. Ryan without another blue card. And let's see what comes out of the hand here. Is it going to be a Show and Tell, or does he have the creature here? Or the payoff as we know it. So nope, it looks like it's just going to be a Show and Tell and a Wasteland from Ryan. Ryan's probably going to waste no time snapping off I guess it doesn't really matter. So Robert is in play with a fetch land to go get another red source plus another red source. So that Thoughtseize is pretty useless now. Ryan's still at 16, so can't get that Death Shadow down, but we'll see him Wasteland Robert here. If he had a Stifle in his hand, that'd be pretty good. He is playing 1 Stifle in the deck. Looks like Robert doesn't find what he's looking for on this turn, and it's just going to be play it cool as a Cucumber, see if Ryan wants to take a peek at the hand, which he probably does anyway, just so he can get that life total working its way down to enable that Shadow. So there's the Thoughtseize. Robert's going to show an Ancient Tomb. Alright, he still goes down to 14, so he's two life points away from being able to play that Death Shadow. Back over to Robert. He's going to draw. See if he finds what he's looking for there. Not yet. Just a top deck away. There's the Lotus Petal. And he will play the Ancient Tomb for turn. And back over to Ryan. Ryan's got to find something to try and work through this Sneak Attack here. So Ponder off the top. The top three is like a Ponder, a Surgical main deck, and a Troll of Cosmic Dune. So yeah, we're going to see that. And we'll see... Oh, no, it's a Reanimate. Oh, wow, okay. Reanimate, not Surgical. So a Reanimate on the Atraxa for Ryan. That's going to be pretty good. So, and he'll be able to play his Death Shadow next turn as well. So he's flipping over some cards here. What he will end up taking is going to be the Ponder, a Surgical, a Grief, and a Wasteland. We'll probably see him play that Wasteland right away. And he does something pretty neat here. He's going to play the Wasteland, and then he's going to Surgical the Volcanic Island. So Robert can't actually fetch for the Volcanic because it'll still get Wastelanded and exiled anyway, which is a pretty heads-up play from Ryan here. Pretty sharp. Now, to note, there is still a Lotus Petal on the battlefield, so that Sting Attack can be activated with the Lotus Petal if Robert picks up, gets a great top deck here. So let's see what he finds. Another Sneak Attack. Doesn't quite do it here. So we will see an Atraxa come into play, or not play, but an Atraxa attack here, which does set Ryan back up to 12 life, making that Shadow only a 1/1, but it definitely puts pressure on Robert's board. So we've got, looks like one of those Shocky lands, and we got double Shadow in hand, as well as maybe a... Alright, there's a Grief coming from him. Grief's going to take the Sneak Attack, and then we'll see a Death Shadow come out on that whopping 1/1. So 8 power on board at the moment, and just like a Show and Tell deck does, they rip an Emrakul off the top, and here you go, sir. And Ryan says no thanks. We'll see you in game number 2. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to game number 2. Ryan has kept 7, and Robert has kept 6 this time. And we'll see Ryan on the play as Robert ripped that game-winning Emrakul off the top, able to sneak attack it in after getting Surgicaled for his Volcanic Island, and then using that Lotus Petal to go ahead and play that, or activate that Show and Tell. It's my first day, so excuse me for this. Alright, so we've got a Grief coming out from Ryan here, and he's got 4 cards in hand. He's letting Robert know. Robert does have the Force of Will. Probably smart to go ahead and stop this, depending on what Ryan has next. And then let's see if we have anything else. We'll see a Surgical on that Grief as well. No recant from Ryan here. He does have a Force of Will with Force Negation in his hand, but if he doesn't have a Reanimate or a way to cast Reanimate, then it's not really a big deal here. So back over to Robert. He's got an Island there, and then it's like a Volcanic, a Sneak Attack, and something else in his hand. So right now, Ryan's kind of in the driver's seat. He's up on land a little bit. The Wasteland's not great. Pass back over to Robert. He's got a Ponder now, which is good. He can play the Ponder without having to worry about a Bowmaster coming into play. That's not a great hand. Grafdigger's Cage. He's already taking out the threat in the graveyard. A Ponder, and I don't know. I think I may shuffle that one, but that's completely up to Robert there. And then we'll see a Grafdigger's Cage come out. Still nothing from Ryan, as he's not worried about what's in the graveyard at this point, and we'll see a pass back over to him more than likely. Alright. Brazen Borrower, that is actually really good for multiple reasons. One, he can bounce that stage, or not that stage, but that cage back if he does find some sort of graveyard recursion. Let's see if Robert can find any action here off this Ponder that he's going to cast now. So Force of Will, blue card. I've got a Watery Grave and a Brazen Borrow in that mixture of what Ryan's shuffling around there. Red Blast, Force, and a City of Traders off of that Ponder, and Robert doesn't like that, so he's gonna shuffle it up and draw. Looks like he picked up a Lotus Petal on that. It's not a bad thing either, so we'll see what happens. Double Wasteland is pretty tough for him at the moment. There's a Death Shadow. Ryan's only at 18 though, so it's going to take him a minute to get that life total down. And then a pass back over. I'd probably start pressuring Robert here with the Brazen Borrower since you have Force Negation and Force of Will in hand. But that is completely up to Ryan here. We will see Robert risk it all and put out a sneak attack into a Force of Will, Force Negation type setup. So we'll see a hard cast Force Negation. Smart move on Ryan's part to hold up that Force of Will still. And a Wasteland on that. Alright, so now we just need to get some life total down, and especially with those double Death Shadows in hand. Ryan has all of the payoffs and none of the enablers here. And Ryan keeps finding all the Wastelands. There's the Atraxa. Wow, these things are just stacked up for Robert here. Surgical on Force of Will, it looks like. And just using that to burn through. There's a Show and Tell, so we just need to find some mana to activate or get that spell on the stack. Ryan finding all the mana and working his way through his deck and his life total at the same time. So wanting to get those Death Shadows down. Jeez, double Atraxa, double Emrakul with a Show and Tell and no way to cast it. There is a Sheoldred's Edict, which is also really good. There's a Red Blast in case Ryan tries to do any of that blue stuff. But he can't quite get his life total down. He's got to reanimate in his hand now. Nothing can come out of the graveyard, but he could still target something if it gets put in the graveyard. So we'll see a Show and Tell here, and then Brainstorm. Looking for that second blue card, or the third or fourth blue card, which he does find. It's a Stifle Brainstorm, another land. So put 2 back on top, and we've got a Force of Will pitching the Brainstorm. It looks like is going to be the play here. So those Death Shadows are now active for Ryan if he didn't put them on top of his deck. But let's see what he did not. So he's got 2 Death Shadows there. He also has a fetch land, so he can grow those shadows even more with another Watery Grave. Down to 9, so we've got some 4/4 Death Shadows coming out now. With some pretty good protection with the Sheoldred's Edict, as well as a bouncy spell from Petty Theft. So Robert's got to come up with something quick here. Just a land and no things to cast. That's kind of tough for him. Looks like he does have a sneak attack, actually. He can cast a sneak attack. I think if I were Ryan, I would have stifled that fetch. But that's just me. And we'll bounce. We'll hit that. No Wasteland for that target. But alright, we got the Petty Theft. It goes back to Robert's hand. And then our Brazen Borrow is going to go on an adventure. So we're still sitting at 4/4 Death Shadows, but it looks like he just drew a Dauthi Voidwalker as well. So Voidwalker in play, and then we're going to swing out for 8. So Robert's got 1 turn to figure this out. And I don't think a Show and Tell gets it done here. It does not, especially with that Sheoldred's Edict in his hand, because he could hit it on the trigger. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to the final game of this nail-biting series that will determine whether Robert is placed in second for the season, or Ryan snatches it away and then continues on to actually beat Robert for the series to get second place for the series. So only this game will determine that. So we'll see Ryan lead off with Grief and showing Robert, letting Robert show his hand, which is 2 Show and Tells, Force of Will, Grizzle Daddy, and Flusterstorm. Well, I think it's pretty easy to decide which one you would take, and that would be the Grizzlebrand, since he has 2 Show and Tells in his hand with a Force of Will backup. So Robert's left with the enablers, but without the payoff. So we'll see how he plays this out, and he's going to play it nice and slow, just leaving some fetch lands and passing it back over. So this is Ryan's game to figure out, because as soon as Robert is able to cast that Show and Tell with an enabler, Ryan's going to have to work through a Flusterstorm and a Force of Will backup. So we'll see how this goes. And Ryan's going to ponder. Doesn't like what he saw, so he's going to shuffle that away. He's going to go ahead and shock in that Steam Vents as well, trying to get that life total work down as fast as possible to get the Death Shadows active. Robert's going to draw a card, and looks like he's just going to pass it back over. So it's very sneaky hiding that from us on this turn. So Ryan just plays Wasteland and passes back. Robert being very careful with his fetch lands as to not get Wastelanded out of the game. And just like a monk, passes it back yet again. So we'll see if Ryan has anything else going on. We'll see a Ponder from Ryan and see if he likes these 3 or if he's going to shuffle them away as well. Looks like it's a Death Shadow and a Grief. So looks like he chooses to play a fetch and then pass back. Looks like the Artisan is working for both of them here. And Robert still being sneaky with those other 2 cards. We don't know what they are yet. But there's a Force of Will and something else there. So we know Robert is rolled up with 2 Force of Wills. And let's see, we got a Bowmaster coming out and a fetch from Ryan as well. And we'll see a draw. So Death Shadow is not quite active yet. I wonder if Ryan should have maybe pinged himself with that Bowmaster just to get that Death Shadow out on the board. But that is for him to decide, not me. So Ryan, it does have a Brainstorm or a Ponder or Stifle or some shit. He's just cycling through his hand so fast I can't see it. But we know he has a Force Will blue card. So let's see what Robert wants to do now. So we'll see the Ancient Tomb from Robert. So it looks like he's ready to go. And what we can do about that. So we've got a Wasteland getting ready to get fired off. Looks like an end of turn. So, all right, Robert just getting that Wasteland off the board there. And looks like we can have an active Death Shadow now with a Fetch Shock. So an attack for 2 from Ryan. And Fetch Shock will put this Death Shadow in play as a 3/3. So, all right, Robert is under some real pressure here. He's got 3 turns to figure it out. We've got a Force of Will out of his hand instead of the one that's known to take care of that Death Shadow. All right, so we're back on a 7-8 turn clock kind of thing, 7 turn clock. All right, we've got another fetch land there. Still no enabler. So, it's a tight game here. All right, Ryan to draw. Picks up a Thoughtseize. And Thoughtseize against Robert. Let's see how he wants to play this. He's going to fetch. And he's going to Force a Will. So Ryan can Force a Will back, which wouldn't be a bad idea. He doesn't know about the Red Blast. So, all right, Force a Will back. It's like Robert's going to probably Red Blast that Force a Will. And Ryan is down to 1 card in hand. So we know we have a Show and Tell and a City of Traders. And there's a Shieldred's Edict in Ryan's hand. So Ryan can deal with an Emrakul off the Show and Tell. But can he deal with... And he could also deal with a Grizzlebrand. But Grizzlebrand could draw him out of it. There is a Sneak Attack there in Robert's hand. So that's pretty freaking good. He doesn't have to worry. Well, he still will have to worry about the Sheoldred's Edict. But let's see how he wants to handle this. So we've got the sneak attack going on the stack, and it resolves. So still on a 5-turn clock here. Another draw is a ponder, so he could work his way out of this, maybe. So ponder from Ryan. Is another Thoughtseize and a Death Shadow. Death Shadow would be pretty good here. Thoughtseize gets the Show and Tell out of hand. Death Shadow puts a lot of pressure on the board. I think I would probably do Death Shadow first, then Thoughtseize, because we know that Show and Tell is in the hand. So let's see what Ryan chooses to do here. And it looks like he does choose to do the Death Shadow, which will now is a 4/4. So all right, and then he's got the Thoughtseize in hand, so he looks like he has lethal on board next turn. And Robert finds a ponder. All right, here we go, and it tracks off the top. Oof, that is really good against the Sheoldred's Edict. That does pump up the Bowmaster one more. And we'll see a Show and Tell trigger. And here we go. Ponder, Force of Will, Fluster, Ponder, Brainstorm, Mountain, Emrakul. He's got it. Robert has won, and he will be in the top 8 tournament. Thanks for watching. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.